Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10 and support the channel at the same time. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and today we have a Dominaria preview card to talk about. This was revealed from Wizards of the Coast today on their website. It's called the First Eruption, and we'll get right into it, but first, Steel Leaf Champion. They revealed the Dominaria version of this card today as well. Previously, we just saw the promo. We talked about this in other videos, so I won't go into the details right now, but if you want to hear my thoughts, just check out the playlist. It is a pretty awesome card, actually. Without any further ado, let's move on to the new card. The First Eruption. This is going to be a saga. It's an enchantment. It's a rare. Red in 2/1. The First Eruption deals 1 damage to each creature without flying. 2, add 2 red mana. 3, sacrifice a mountain. If you do, the First Eruption deals 3 damage to each creature. First off, I want to say the art on these sagas has been really impressive to me. They've done some unique things. This one is a tapestry. It's a little hard to see on the card because it's shrunk down. If you know what you're looking for, you can probably pick it out, though. They had a large picture of it on their website. It looked really, really cool. Now, the dragons on there's some debate online. Are they Shivan dragons or something else? But regardless, I think the art looks incredible here. And they're just knocking it out of the park generally with the art in this set, but especially the sagas, I think. So what about the card itself? Is it playable? Yeah, I actually think it's pretty decent under certain circumstances. Let's talk about limited first. Now, there are going to be some builds where you might be comfortable main decking this. For example, many of your low drops, maybe they happen to be flyers, and then you're not too worried about the number 1. The number 2 is always good. I mean, who doesn't like ramping? Getting 2 red could actually lead to a big play. The number 3, here we are with another reciprocal effect. This time it's all creatures, and it's 3 damage, so that's significant. You're also losing a mountain there. Now, maybe you cast this card without a mountain and you get around that, or maybe you have a naturalized effect to shut this down before it gets there if you don't want it to go off. But now we're getting into very specific situations that probably won't work out that way most of the time, so keep that in mind. So if you're comfortable with the fact that this is going to hurt your opponent 99% of the time more than it's going to hurt you, then sure, go ahead and main deck it. However, a lot of the time I think this is a sideboard card, because when you're playing Draft and Sealed, a lot of those decks, if they're good decks, are going to have a nice curve to them. So you will be having, even if you're playing a more mid-rangey or a larger deck, you're going to have 3 toughness and less creatures in that deck, and there's times where this could hurt you more than the opponent, right? So you're going to take that chance. Also, too, holding on to those creatures while you play this card or leading up to playing this card could potentially tempo you, which isn't a good thing all the time either. On the flip side, it's kind of a bad thing that when you put this out, the number 3 is kind of telegraphing itself because your opponent's going to hang on to their stuff too. But it's not the worst thing in the world because it does tempo them as well. So that's something to keep in mind. It's not a complete failure. Now, aside from that, if I sideboard it in, it's going to be a situation where my opponent is playing a lot of small things. If maybe I see a lot of Sapperling tokens show up in game 1, or perhaps Llanowar Elves, this is great against that type of thing. Because on turn 3, you can start blowing that stuff up. Especially if they play a Llanowar Elf. You don't necessarily want to use your big removal spell on it, but at the same time, you kind of have to. But this is another alternative that could lead to maybe some other stuff going on. Perhaps that ramp on the next turn, which could turn the tables, as a matter of fact. And that's kind of awesome. So yeah, there's a lot of matchups, so you're going to be happy to bring this in, no doubt. So what about Standard? I do think there is a place for it in Standard. Now, on one hand, I don't see a new deck emerging necessarily, because one thing that's a little awkward about this card is it doesn't play well with ramp. It looks like a ramp card, right? It's trying to give you 2 red mana, but at the same time, it's also taking away a land later. And aside from that, it's blowing up Llanowar Elves, which is going to be a big deal. I mean, sure, you could run some mana dorks with higher toughness. They're going to cost you more, but there's just really no reason to do that just to play this card. Where this card does make sense, though, is in an existing build, the Monsters build. Now, there is still going to be some collateral damage there. I mean, Monsters decks typically run some of the Explore Merfolk. They could be 1 toughness or they could be larger. If they explored and hit something that wasn't a land, then they'll at least survive number 1. They also run Earthshaker Kenras, but they have Eternalize, so it's not the worst thing in the world when they end up in the graveyard. But I do think the damage you're doing to yourself is acceptable because ultimately what you're trying to do with that deck is get to your Phoenixes, get to your Glory Bringers, and this card with the number 2 is going to help you do that a little bit faster too. And the Monsters deck just feels like a natural fit for it, honestly. I'd want to test it, don't get me wrong. And I'm not really sure if it's a sideboard or main deck, and if it's main deck, is it 1, is it 2? That's all stuff I'd have to think about for a while, but definitely worth trying out, I think, if nothing else. Commander, do you play this? You can. I think there's a lot better things you could be doing for 3 mana in the world of Commander, but if you have a deck where you just have a bunch of large creatures, and you feel like this is going to, again, do more damage to your opponents than it's going to do to you, it's definitely runnable. Now, with that being said, that is the card for today. There may be more coming later. If there are, I will do a follow-up video, but at least for right now, that's what we got. Until next time, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe. Have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.